A very interesting new study finds that Americans on average die younger in conservative and red states. Now, this won't be a surprise to some of you who know some of the underlying data here, but let's start with the study as reported by The Guardian. More liberal policies on environment, gun safety, labor, economic taxes, and tobacco taxes associated with lower mortality. The authors of the study write, simulations indicate that changing all policy domains in all states to a fully liberal orientation could have saved over 171,000 lives in 2019. Changing to a fully conservative orientation could cost more than 217,000 lives. The study was published in Plos One, PLOS1. I always forget how it's pronounced, which is a science journal. The authors are from Syracuse University, Harvard, VCU, University of Washington, University of Texas at Austin, and University of Western Ontario, Canada. I have to tell you, this really isn't surprising. There is a very interesting metric. And when we talk about the United States, sometimes it's said, well, the United States could really be divvied up into 6 different regions that would be as big as many European countries, or 12 different regions I have seen. There is a metric called the Human Development Index. This metric takes into account health, education, income, and life expectancy to give us a number essentially below 0 and 1, 1 being very high and 0 being very low. And when you look around the world, you see maybe not like a hugely surprising list of countries at the top of the list. So, for example, countries with a very, very high HDI, Human Development Index, Switzerland, Norway, Iceland, Hong Kong, Australia, no real surprises there. Right there with them, Denmark, Sweden, Ireland, Germany, Netherlands, Finland, Singapore, Belgium, New Zealand, Canada. You start to see trends in the types of places that these are. You can assign values just like you can to a country, to a state. And one of the things that you will see, which are totally separate from this study that we're talking about here, is that the states with the highest HDIs also are overwhelmingly blue states. You've got at the top Massachusetts, Connecticut, Minnesota, New Jersey, New Hampshire, Colorado, DC, North Dakota, Washington, Hawaii, New York, Maryland, Vermont. So we are 13, 14 in with 1 red state and 1 purple state of New Hampshire. This is not new information to many of us. Now, what's an important question in general is the life expectancy specifically. Do they die younger because they're poorer, and they're poorer due to Republican economic policy, or do they die younger because of the direct effect of Republican social and other policy? The answer pretty clearly seems to be a sort of all of the above type of thing. Going back to the article a little bit, especially strong associations were observed between certain domains and specific causes of death, between gun safety and suicide mortality among men, between labor and alcohol-induced mortality, between both the economic tax and tobacco tax and cardiovascular mortality. Very, very interesting. And the study authors also note that American life expectancy as a whole is lower than most high-income countries, falling between Cuba and Albania. One of the things that sometimes will come up on the show is I want to move to a country with a much higher standard of living. And one of the things to understand is that a lot of times the folks saying that are in states with low standards of living. It's difficult to move to a lot of the countries on the list I showed you, but it's much easier relatively. It's not free. There's still costs, and sometimes those states are more expensive. You can much more easily move to a state in the U.S. with an equivalent standard of living to many of those European countries, because the United States is so stratified. And the difference between Massachusetts and Mississippi on every indicator could not be more different. So interesting study, Not surprising information, but interesting to see it laid out so cleanly in terms of the data. We'll link to the study so you can take a look at it for yourselves. I've had such trouble finding a great razor where I am not cutting myself or getting those nicks on my skin, which are so common with the cheap disposable razors. You have to meet our sponsor, Henson Shaving. Henson actually manufactures parts for the International Space Station and the Mars rover, and they are bringing that exact same precision engineering to the shaving experience. It hurts when you shave because blades extend too far and thus they wobble slightly. But with their aerospace grade CNC machines, Henson is able to make metal razors that extend just 0.0013 inches. That's less than the thickness of a human hair, which means a secure, stable blade with a vibration-free shave. It also has built-in channels to evacuate the hair and the cream. No more clogs, no more rubbing your thumb on the razor to get the hair out. I use Henson at home. Shaving is a great experience now. Henson wants to be the best razor, not the best razor business, which means you only need to buy it once and it's awesome. Go to hensonshaving.com/Pacman, add a razor and a 100-pack of blades to your cart, then enter the code Pacman to get the 100 blades for free. That is a 3-year supply. The link is down below.